Hello and welcome back to the Lords of Ash podcast, episode 2. The dice gods have been appeased. The sacrifice is deemed worthy. I don't know where we found a virgin in this day and age, but um, we're back. We're back. Um, the um, Joining me today is my buddy Ashton on my left. Yeah, my left, your left. Down below is my buddy Pierce. These guys are badasses. They are excellent, excellent players, great character builders, and awesome DMs. What this is going to be is three dudes talking about the hobby. And fair warning, we've known each other for years. We played together for years. And we are also veterans, so adult language may come out, especially since we just heard about this blackberry and lemonade whiskey that Ashton just got uh, on his latest trip to Missouri. So we'll see how the night goes. We'll see how the night goes. I am Gonch, and gentlemen, let's talk character creation. That's something that's been popping up in the new RPG guide. So Ashton and Pierce are badasses. And there has to be a process behind making these badasses besides you guys. So, who wants to lead off walking us through how Ashton and Pierce came to be?
A funeral.
That's crazy.
It's not untrue. This did birth from a funeral.
Like a real world funeral?
We were at the same funeral. You already
did.
forgot.
I have no idea. What?
It did. From my perspective, you guys texted me after a funeral, like, we should get the band back together. And I was in the
Oh
right headspace to
yeah.
go, yeah, let's get the band back together.
Welcome to
Yeah,
the
sorry.
conversation.
Takes me a bit. Hello, dog.
Yeah, so it had been several years since we got back together. I forget what year that was. It had to be like 2025 or 2024 at this point.
24, I want
Longer?
to say.
24.
I think late 24.
Yeah. But ran back into each other and decided, we wanted to play again because I was a brand new player at that point, and Pierce was also like a semi brand new player. We only really had one campaign overseas many, many years ago. And so we just had a severe itch, like chlamydia, like we wanted to come back.
Like chlamydia. Oh god.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's on the
Yeah.
internet forever.
That's right. But character creation. Let's see. My character is a dragonborn warlock. We really wanted to come up with a pirate themed campaign. And so, man, how did I come up with that? That was just.
You were finishing up your doctorate. I remember that. And you were like, you sent me, like, we were doing our session 0 and you were sending me stuff. And I'm like, this dude sounds badass. I really want to meet this character. And just
Right.
the depth that went into him.
So ultimately for me, what it came down to was deciding what class I wanted to play. And as soon as I decided that I wanted to play a warlock, I looked into ultimately what makes a warlock, and that's a patron. Well, me in my mindset was, how does someone enter into a deal with a type of patron that is generally pretty evil as a rule, right? They usually don't really have the best interest of everybody else at heart. How does my character end up into that situation? And I thought that it would be really interesting to have my character turn into someone that would be manipulated to put themselves in that situation. And so I started kind of playing with the idea of like, how would my character be eventually manipulated to get into a position to where he would take that role on. And I think what I ended up deciding is that I would have a best friend who betrayed me, and then I ended up getting locked inside like this cave system. It was a mountainside, and close to death, hallucinating, and on the brink of death. I heard a whisper that was I thought was just my own insanity, which was actually my patron, and he decided to go ahead and help me get revenge on this friend of mine. Which, are you learning more about this character right now, Pierce?
Yeah, dude, I'm sitting here just like, whoa, this is the first I'm hearing about some of this.
Yeah.
God, that's what I love about this. Oh,
Okay. My bad. I just revealed some stuff from our campaign that I haven't totally revealed yet. So,
nah, this is great.
but yeah, it all started with what makes a warlock a warlock. Why did I want to play a warlock? I don't know. I've never played one before, and so once you start asking those questions, you can just find a way of trying to answer them, and it's just you know it's enjoying that process, and that's what it was for me.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So you were a what class, and then how can I work that way? Yeah, I like that.
From a
So
newer player standpoint, it's like most of the time we don't even know what all the classes are,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you've heard of rogue, you've heard of a barbarian, beat things up, hide things. I mean, that's the really basic stuff. I knew that like magic was harder in D&D, so I wanted to start tiptoeing into that. And so by trying to understand what the other characters or classes could be, that was that research that turned into it.
Okay, that makes sense. So Pierce, why a bard? You're my favorite bard. Let me clarify that right now. But why a bard? If
Ah,
those not familiar with D&D, bards have a well-deserved reputation, especially this one, for shenanigans. For shenanigans. But why a bard? What brought Pierce to life?
so it's actually funny. The more I thought about this, I was playing and writing down notes and stuff of kind of like how did Pierce become, a thing. And actually, on the contrary of what Ashton was talking about, I wrote down instead of the build or like the class, rather, um, I wanted to start with the person, right? And so typically when you start out, right, yeah, like it's, oh, I'm going to be a ranger, I'm going to be a fighter, I'm going to be a barbarian, etc. I don't know who picks I'm going to be a bard, but somehow I circled back to that. It's not the typical character I would play. I like being a ranger or a fighter, something like that. Bard was definitely different, but I imagined myself almost as a person. Pierce is the same age as me. He starts out 26 in the campaign. I'm 27, so it was kind of like inserting me into a adventure in the pirate time, right? And I kind of took some qualities of my personality and things that I'm interested in, and I kind of sprinkled some of that in there. And then I did a lot of chat GPT to say, what class should I really go with, like long term with this? And at the end of the day, that's what I came out with was you should be a bard. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a bard. Like, that's kind of lame.
It's
But
so
I was
funny
like,
you're
then again,
saying that right now because of how much you put into this character.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is like at first I was like, nah, it's kind of lame. Like I don't want to do that. But then I was like, oh, but it also is a challenge, to play a bard. And there's a lot of different types of play styles and stuff. But for me, another thing that I wrote down is instead of just being Pierce as a bard and doing bard things, right? Like the why. I really wanted to dive into the why. Like, why is he a bard? Why does he sing? So not only does he have a background that kind of fits with that, where he grew up around fishing ships, he his father was a sailor, and so he's got a lot of stories from sailing, and his mother helped like feed people in their hometown, and so he was around taverns a lot and was an entertainer, and um, one of the biggest things I think with him and with character creation for me, because I also like to write, is a character in the beginning of the story should change by the end of it, or whatever their part that they play in the story. Right? Is a character should change in some way, and it could be better, it could be worse, it could be both. And so for him, he was this innocent um, fishing guy or kid from a fishing village, and he got into maps and map making and stuff and music and entertaining, and he would tell his stories through music, and that led him to this career of I can explore the world, I can navigate, I can do all these great things and tell stories. And then he goes with a crew that, well, does just that, just not exactly the way that he had planned. Again, he's a human, he's a normal dude, and he's seeing some very not normal things on his adventure, and that's changing him. And a lot of his changes and his stories are being put into his songs and his music. And yeah, that's where Pierce came from. Trauma, just like me.
There we go. Like character creation in a nutshell. Trauma.
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 Yeah, yeah. Honestly, Pierce is just me, but yeah, that's how Pierce came about.
uh, I apologize for the listeners, but I'm gonna make one inside campaign joke. Zarath.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can't take it.
Uh, um, so we
What
come
approach
to.
would you take, Gonch? It's been a minute
I
since you created one, but you're in a campaign yourself.
I was. The I played Descents into Inverness campaign, and they needed a cleric, so I threw something together. And I did the same thing. I went to Chatty and talked to Chat GPT and like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can you give me a backstory here, kind of thing. Um, I went with a dwarf because I have a thing for the bearded stout folk anymore. I don't drink as much as I used to, but I do miss a good beer. So I went along with that. In the past, like when I first got into the hobby, I would just make character sheets, one to learn how to do it, and then because this is back in 3.5, to learn how to do it, and then two, just because I read a lot or I read a lot, so I'm like, I want to make a character based on this. I actually made a bard based on Tom Merlin. Marilyn, I don't remember how she is pronounced it from the Wheel of Time series. That was fun, but I think like to touch on the points you guys did, like finding something that just sounds intriguing and going with it. Like if I have a miniature in my cabinet that I picked up at a convention, the EverCon we went to, in the first year we got back into gaming, Pierce. But I'm like, I would like to play this character, a dwarven ranger with a bear companion slash mount. This is That'd be cool to put on the table. But yeah, I like being a DM though because I get to be every character and I get to mess with all my players. So
Yeah.
I get to play all of them instead of
So
just the one. So
if you were just starting out, right? Brand new, first time someone invited you to a campaign and you're like,
Elf
I need
Ranger.
it. Or Elf Rogue, right?
Yeah.
Roland Nilo. uh no, what types of things for someone who has no idea of what they're getting into, what's the first thing they should consider?
do you want this, Pierce, or you want me to go first?
I I guess I can start. I think
Okay, go.
there, there's some classes can be very complicated. Specifically spells for me and probably for most people, spells are just kind of a bitch. So, if you don't want to deal with that stress, um, be a fighter or a barbarian and just hit stuff, because that's pretty easy. But on the flip side, if you're a barbarian or a fighter, you better be ready to go in there. And like you might be down to your last hit point. Like you need to be smart about it, and you got to make sure you got a good team backing you up. And it, not all barbarians are stupid. Okay, just putting that out there. Not all barbarians are stupid, and not everyone needs to talk in a low voice like this and drink ale. Like, not everyone is
Pull
Grog,
out
okay?
Critical Role and
Yeah.
Grog is the shit.
Yeah.
So.
They don't have to be that. But yeah, I mean, like, your ranger's a pretty decent class if you want to get into like the simple side and mix a little bit of spells in there. Um I don't really know a lot about rogue, to be honest, but there might be another one. But I would say there's definitely like your wizard, your warlocks, more spells and stuff. I feel like those are a little more involved, and compared to like your fighter and barbarian. So that's, I guess that's my take.
I've onboarded a lot of people because I had the books, just didn't have anyone to play with. So I'm like, hi, I want to play this game. Here, come sit with me. Let's play this game together. Um, every new, especially in 3.5, where spells are even more complicated, everyone wants to play a wizard. When you start talking about the class, I want to play a wizard. Then you go, this is the section of the rulebook that covers spells. This is the section of the rulebook that covers everything else. It's massive. Um, Definitely, I think if you're a new person, what do you want to play with, or what style do you want to play? Do you want to hit things? Do you want to be more talkative? Do you want to be a magic user? And then rely on your table and your fellow players and your DM to actually talk through. Okay, well, this is what I'm thinking, but help them point you in the right direction. If you're brand spanking new, have them point you in the right direction. Like, what do you want to play? And then this might be an interesting option here. That'd be my hot take for a new person. And don't be a wizard first round. Please don't be a wizard. You're gonna hate your life. Sorcerer, easy. Sorcerer, easy. Wizard, no, no.
It's gonna be one of those things where you're like, I'm gonna be a wizard, and then you start looking at how to be a wizard, and you're like, I don't think I could do this.
Yep.
It's like you have to be exposed to the game for a while before you really jump in with both feet.
Or
I
at
like
least read a lot.
still nervous about playing that.
Yeah.
So
But so from my point of view, I think the first thing you need to consider is what type of campaign are you jumping into, right? What's the group that you're playing with? If you're playing with a group of friends that you've known for a while and you can anticipate that this is going to be like a long running like campaign, then you got a lot to play with because first thing you got to know is that the way that a character starts, the class that you choose is going to change severely as you play the game. So, if like, for example, if you on the other side are just going to play a one shot with somebody else, well, you want to play something that's going to be fun that you can feel like is powerful right off the bat. So it changes a lot based off of the group setting that you're going to be playing in. And it can also change a lot just based off of the level of the character that you're playing. So if you're starting level one, man, we are just all a bunch of like one hit bitches, Like you're gonna get hurt right away. So find something I would say that you could wrap your head around easily and learn the game from everybody else that's around you. So Pierce, you said it like right off the bat. Like the easier ones are barbarians, the rogues, the rangers. Um, Warlock can be fairly simple too, in my opinion. After playing one, if you want to start getting into the spells a little bit. Um, but yeah, what are all the other classes too? I mean, I feel like should we even get into those?
Well, there's so
oh,
many like outside of the core rule book too, and you could get into races and stuff too, which have racial traits and all that. So there's so much that you can really get into. But I think the basics that you covered most of them. What else is there? There's bard, cleric.
I hold on a second. Let me lean back.
I don't even know.
Bard,
I need a
barbarian.
picture.
I have like 8 of the 12 done in my cabinet. There's barbarian, cleric,
Oh, I can look on the
druid,
website.
fighter, monk, monk, brain fart.
Sorcerer.
No, brain fart's not one. That's a DLC.
Yeah.
Um, monk,
Paladin,
rogue,
Paladin.
paladin, monk, rogue,
rogue,
paladin, sorcerer,
sorcerer, warlock,
warlock, wizard.
wizard.
I'm missing one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically there's a bunch of them, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if you play one game of D&D and you're like, I don't know if it's for me, I promise you, try it again and pick a different class, pick a different group, right? Uh, because not everybody is meant for every table. And I think Gonch can speak on this more in his experience, right? Is just that not every table's for you, and you're not for every table, right? Everyone vibes differently, and everyone plays classes differently. The campaign could be different. I played the Lords of Ash campaign. That was completely different than the Planetary Devastation campaign that I did with another group. And I did kill someone with my penis, which was amazing. But like, that's not realistic. Promise. And then our current campaign is about pirates. It's totally different. And I've played 3 completely different characters in that and had 3 completely different experiences. It's unexplainable. I could just talk forever, but I'm not. I'm done.
That's what we're here for. You're not
I
done.
know,
Go
dude.
on a rant.
I could talk for literally ever on D&D. I love
Yeah.
this.
So, quick thing to interject here, guys. I guess I think there's another character that is at the table with you, and talk about character creation. So, I know Ashton touched on this in his thing of when you go to the table and you meet, you kind of feel out new. You're feeling out everyone else at the table, kind of thing. Brand new, maybe you're playing some experienced people, etc. But the table itself is another character, in my personal opinion, to the party, right? Because the Lords of Ash pirate our New World campaign has a very different feel than the Stolen Night crew I'm running with. It's so that there's still the same core tables, but the feel of the campaign is different just because of the different people around it playing those characters. I don't know if you guys got thoughts on that or want to add to.
Oh yeah. Um, so it hasn't really been touched on yet. I think we talked about this a little bit in our previous podcast. So I'm just gonna, say go check that out real quick. Enjoy.
Oh,
Um,
shameless plug.
but it's when you're building a character, things that you have to consider is, aside from knowing what the character that you're building and like their background story, which is important, but honestly, it's not that important. You can honestly build a character, a class, a race, and figure out that character as you play. It's not that serious. It's really
100%.
not. You can put whatever you want into it. But then everyone gets so nervous because when I started my very first campaign, I got some buddies that like really wanted to try it out, and I was the only one who had experience. And one of them was just like, I don't want to do this. I'm only doing it because the group wants to do this. And like sending me private messages like, do I have to role play? Do I have to like how involved do I need to be? Like I don't know if I'm gonna make it, to be honest. But if I do show up, like it's so nervous about the role play thing. And it was just the greatest thing because you don't need to do any of that. You can just simply say like be an observer, watch what everybody else is doing, and then you get to your turn and just say my character would like to do this. You don't need to act it out, but some people like to. Myself and Pierce down below are often bantering with each other throughout sessions, which sometimes feel like it can take an entire session because we enjoy doing that. And you might find yourself actually enjoying that. So it's a little bit of acting, you know. I don't feel like that is absolutely necessary when you play. So just knowing a little bit about your background, something enough to kind of sink your teeth into and feel something about your character. Knowing that role play is an aspect of it, right? Everything else is up to chance. Like that whole YouTube video with Jonathan Berthall when they talked about like the goal is to tell a great story. And I want to drop that because it is like one of the greatest videos of introducing D&D that there possibly could be. Is it's the goal is not to be epic in all things. It is just to fail and laugh with your friends and tell a great story. And honestly, repeated failure is sometimes just even better than repeated success. Let's
Oh,
be
oh,
honest.
oh, I know. How many
That's my
times have I almost killed my entire team?
oh my gosh. My barbarian in my campaign, he's trying to be funny, but just nearly kills himself and somebody else in the party every session to the point where he came out and he goes, "My guy's so stupid, but he needs to relax. I think I'm gonna have to have a breakthrough at some point." Like, just chucks our halfling down a well because we have to go down there for whatever reason, and then proceeds to just get a nat 20 to jump right into the well without any, repelling or anything like that to land again on the halfling.
Oh,
Um, yeah, just hilarity, you know.
I love that. I wanted to touch on the backstory part, if you don't mind, Gonch.
Oh,
Um,
I was gonna go
so
there too.
yeah, so something that I wrote down was the backstory should create problems, not just explain your past or who your character is. And I'll say that this is sometimes because I did like what Ashton said, where like sometimes you don't need to have a backstory. Sometimes it's better to not fully divulge your character or even plan it because sometimes it's cool to just shape yourself by the water, how it flows, you know? Um, but for me and this adventure, I wanted a backstory. When I made Toolron Lamaloso, my ranger, I wanted a backstory that the DM could build off of. Because a lot of people are like, oh, my parents are dead. Okay, that
Classic trope.
sucks. Like, what does that mean? You know? But like mine was, well, I was an elf, and I know that there's orcs in the land, right? So I built that into my backstory that my entire family was slaughtered by these orcs, and it was a certain tribe, right? And so then that gave the DM an entire lane of the campaign to focus on. Like an entire faction was made off of this one piece of my backstory, right? Um, and then for Pierce, the current campaign, um, I got a whole ass town that I threw into my backstory, and DM was like, "Yep, it's here." And then he made sense of that into the backstory, right? So like I gave him the rope, and he just took it and kept pulling and building, right? And so I think the I wrote down the formula to a good backstory, right? Is the past, some belief in your character and its future, or maybe your character had a belief and that's why they're on this adventure, right? I also loved what Ashton said about failure because flaws create conflict, and conflict creates a story, right? And and a story with conflict creates change in a character, right? And so if we're talking about character creation, talking about backstories, you put it all together, sprinkle a little bit of that formula in there, and you're going to have an excellent character if you just put a little bit of effort into your backstory, but also give it something that the DM can really claw into and create a good story.
That's a testament to the DM too, because I didn't
Yeah.
realize how much effort, like, I kind of did. I remember our first session very vividly because I was a dark elf rogue, uh, and I remember you just being all worked up about these orcs. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about at all. I don't understand this. We're going through some like woods. I'm pretty sure we walked over a log. Someone fell in.
You wouldn't understand. You don't know what they did to me.
And like creating my first character, I probably honestly felt at the time I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm too cool for this. I don't know. Like I don't want to seem like I care. That was I probably my initial approach. And
Yeah.
so when I was
He was
told
a
like write
fucking
a
loser.
background, I'm like, I don't know what these things are. I don't know how to even play a character. How am I supposed to create a background and do all this research? I'm like, I don't got time for that. And so I scribbled some things down. And the thing that sticks to me to this day, because it's a testament to Gonch over here, is I was reading a book and it was like my favorite book, Name of the Wind. And there's a character in that I just hated. So it was like, who's your nemesis? I wrote down a guy named Ambrose. Okay. So I put down
Triggered.
Ambrose. It was such a
Triggered.
throwaway. And he ended up being one of the most pivotal characters in that entire campaign. Just because I put something down as a complete throwaway. But I guess I just got into the moment and had such a visceral reaction because I was actually fully into role playing at that time that something that was a complete throwaway for me turned into something that ended up being epic for us.
That camp, that reaction sitting at the table in Ukraine and watching, like I mentioned his name. I say the name Ambrose. My name is Ambrose, and watching Roland Nilo, the rogue, dark elf rogue at the time, his player's face just go, Ambrose, like almost table flip moment, like just you could feel it emanating off the dude, and his player is a ripped dude, right? He works out, so it's like I'm sitting over here behind my screen going, I'm gonna die. Okay, anyway, what would Ambrose do? Ambrose would be a cocky son of a bitch. All right, yeah.
He looks at you. He looks
He
at
looks
you.
at you.
He looks at you. It's another inside joke.
Yeah.
Not even related to Ambrose, but yeah.
Um,
But right there, that was two players, and we had what, like we had like 6 or 7 at one point.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, and so like the DM Gonch here taking two things from two character, or one thing from each character, right? Can create an entire world. It can create the entire story. And I promise you, if you sit down with the same 6 people again and you start a different campaign, even if you started in the same place, that campaign's going to go completely different than the first one. Even if you tried to do it the same way, because you got the rolls of the dice, you got the, enemies that you might run into, and how each player is going to try something new. So,
um, Wanted to piggyback off of what both of you guys have said about, your backstories don't have to be that in depth. Like when we started this campaign, oh my Ashton's backstory. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was a page long or longer, very in depth, very detailed, and I'm like, I can work with this. And then our another player who can't make it because he's got to pay his bills and handle his business and live a real life and be a responsible adult. We love you, Narcisco.
bah.
Um, um, Narcisco, he's like, well, this is kind of who I am. This is what I did. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But as the campaign kind of went on, Narcisco's like, can I add some stuff to my backstory? I'm like, yeah, man, go right ahead. No big deal. And that actually's helped because Ashton gave us the foundation for our story. And then Pierce's stuff is getting tied in. And as I started to formulate in my head as the DM, and then Narcisco started adding some pieces in too. I'm like, okay, yeah, this works. So then, if you have the right, for me as a DM, if you have the right table, if you're a brand new player, you don't have a backstory, you can add to it. Your DM hopefully will be willing to work with you and help add flavor into that, right? And for the DMs out there, I'm a big fan of you capture your people when you remember something that their characters about their characters. You bring them into the world with that, or you build a whole world around them and a big bad evil guy. But that's a whole different story. Anyway, um, the flaws are another thing too. I was riding with one of my players on a very very long car ride, long travel day to go to Ren Fair, Pierce, but it was a good time. And he had mentioned something that I had forgotten about because unfortunately, life gets in the way. All my guys are busy, so we only get to meet once a month, sometimes once every other month. But he mentioned something I forgot about from the session zero in his character. He's like, I like to see some more of that in my character, or see that how that plays out in our story. So DM tangent went off, and that's where Zaroth came in because Pierce heard whispers, but taking that piece and then tying it back into the overall story because I guess two of the you guys have ran tables now, and your DMs. Part of the character creation process I find challenging is why you're going to take this separate group of characters and make them work together. I don't know if you have a go-to for that. I have one. have developed kind of thing. But there's always that awkward first session. I feel for a lot of tables of, well, do you guys know each other? Why are you going to work together towards this goal? Why are you going to travel together? Because you have some characters that just they hate each other. Just that's fine, right? Because that as long as the players aren't punch each other on the table physically. Um, but getting that there, I think that's another aspect of character creation that could be looked at too. Is you don't have to not know the people around the table. Like Flint, other player Flint and Ashton knew each other during the character creation process. And that helped a lot when we actually brought Flint in because he joined us a little bit later in the campaign. What's your guys' take on that? I guess.
That's a challenging thing. I mean, I feel like the classic trope at this point for working together is you meet up at a bar, you get hired
Yep.
for something. It's like, oh, we need someone to do this, this, this. And everyone's like, well, I don't want to do the classic thing, but it is the easiest way to go about it. I unfortunately did not do that. And also in our campaign, um, being this is the second time I created a character. I wanted to go full on role play. And I dug so deep into this character that I think players that we had in our campaign didn't know the difference between who I am as a person and who my character is that I'm trying to play.
Yeah.
And so it gets confused. And half the time, I don't even know how I'm going to play. I'm just trying to play according to what I think my character is going to play. So
I
that
love
can be
that.
a challenge.
I'm putting a pin in that, what you just said.
Yes. Um, so that can be a challenge to get the group to work as a whole because we have different motivations. So I would say as a DM, your goal is to reel everyone in under a similar goal and at least hand feed if you have to create that similar goal. With mine, like the campaign that I'm running right now, like I've been friends with this group for well over a decade, and all we do is mess with each other on a daily. Like it doesn't change from inside the campaign, but some people take it more seriously than others. And one of my characters, or one of my players, I should say, was getting very upset because one of our sorcerers kept on trying to cast fireball in his direction, and he was getting very angry about this. And so I would say sometimes some of those things are needed because you go through issues as a group because that's just like any group where not everyone's going to mesh, but then finding a way to pull people together and have great successes and great failures to make them want to work together as a team. And I guess that's my take. I don't know, but I'm still learning. So
That's a good take.
Yeah, we're all still learning. I don't think it ever stops. Like if you think you aren't learning anymore, you're probably doing it wrong. Um, but we've had both Ashton and I. Wow, flashback. We've had two different sides of that coin, right? Our characters in our previous campaign knew each other, and that created a very unique dynamic between our characters. And I remember, I can't remember the character's name, but Fitz, his orc, I don't remember his name, but his orc was an orc, and my character hated him because of it. And so our characters didn't know each other. That created a dynamic, um, which was an angry one, and Roland and I was a very like suspenseful one. I felt as we were both elves. So, and then in our new campaign, I didn't know his character, so I don't trust him. I mean, also I'm a human seeing a friggin' dragon born, so that's not normal from a fishing town. So, yeah, it creates a very
I
unique perspective
disagree. I
either way.
think there should be races all over the place. Where are you from? Just like a human only town? You've never seen a dragonborn before?
Yes.
Apparently, Weaver's the same.
Yeah. 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 We're both racist, I guess.
If I'm calling me a lizard the whole time, I'm like, you
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
Dude, you and Weaver have had this thing the entire campaign where you're just bickering at each other, and I
Yeah.
love it. And then there's Narcisco who just doesn't say anything until he's needed.
He's a
We need
cruise
Uh,
to hear
missile hidden
so
as
we
a
didn't
band-aid
realize
box.
how much of a tank that he is, though, until
yeah,
recently.
he is a tanky Band-Aid box. Yep.
Yeah, it's a brick shithouse.
A cruise missile hidden. Our Narcisco. If you watch this Narcisco, again, we do love you. How dare you handle your real responsibilities instead of hanging out with the guys? But the assholes like as a DM, I have a really hard. This should be a really hard encounter. This is great. I cast Shatter.
Yeah.
I cast
Fucking
Shatter.
shatter.
Ugh. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought. Okay, guys. Plan B. No. I know. Like, I think part of the thing too is, especially when we first started camping, the table added the one guy I've known personally for a long time, our Weaver. He actually is my one of my OG players when I first started playing. But then trying to bringing him into the dynamic of the greater fold, as it were. I guess I know there was some tension at first as everyone's kind of feeling out. Okay, who's actually what's character talk and what's player talk. I guess what are you guys' thoughts on that at the table dynamic?
There was some tension. Simply put, there was some tension. I think for us, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but for us, I think it was an outsider, right? Like the four of us knew each other, and now we brought in Gonch's friend, and we didn't know him, and so there was a little more friction than there probably would have been normally. Um, but I'm not gonna lie, I take it back. Like it worked out really well. So I'm Weaver. If you're watching this, I'm sorry I doubted you at first a little bit. I was like, I don't know if I like this guy, but now I love him, and I'm gonna kiss him when I see him.
Yeah, I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's just when you're playing with other people who have played before and had more experience, everyone brings something different to the table. Whether or not it's just base knowledge, rule checking, role playability, you have to understand that people are playing two different personalities at once and it can throw you off. And trying to differentiate and understanding motivations can be challenging. But if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So,
Hey, that's a nice flag right there.
sure is. I
It
actually use that for
doesn't challenge
inspiration.
you. It doesn't change you. Yeah, it's the same with your character, right? If you're good at everything, burden, uh, you're not gonna have fun, right? Like you can I don't know. It's just it's okay to fail. Your character is going to be way better. You're going to learn a lot more things. You're going to have a lot more fun if you just sometimes you're not perfect, right? It's just like real life. You don't always get a natural 20. We get a lot of ones over here, especially when it matters.
My dice are allergic to 20s. So I think I've
Yeah.
rolled one this entire campaign, to be honest.
Oh, I want to pull that pin out. I pinned something before because it was one of my other things that I wrote down. I don't remember exactly what you said, but it's something along the lines of like, "Oh, I want to play my character, how my character would think or whatever." And it was one of my biggest topics that I wanted to talk about tonight was your character does not know you're playing D&D. Your character is a person, right? Like in this imaginary world, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So I think back to our first campaign when I remember I might tell it wrong, but basically there was a point where like we knew this big bad guy was in this room, and my character did not know that because he didn't see or didn't hear whatever the communication was, and I ended up yeeting a torch into that like room or door or something, cave entrance, I don't know. And basically it alerted the big bad guy it wasn't good. And had my character known the knowledge that I knew, hearing everyone else around the table, I wouldn't have done that. But my character didn't know that, right? And so there's a lot of moments where you're sitting there and Ashton's character is having a moment where he's learning something important that maybe is in Draconic and I can't understand it, right? Or he's
Lock
seeing
it.
something that fuck you. That he's seeing something that triggers a past memory or something in his backstory that he hasn't divulged to the group yet. Um, and vice versa. Sometimes you're experiencing something. Like for me, the Brotherhood was something that my party didn't know about, and I almost forgot about, to be honest. That was in my backstory that Gonch threw in to our campaign. So, you may be thinking, oh, there's a door here at the end of this hallway that's dark and scary. It's obviously a trap door, and you're gonna do your detect magic, whatever. But your character is probably like, oh, I've never felt this energy before, right? I might approach it cautiously or something, you know? Or they might be, I don't know what is that feeling? That's strange, whatever. And they might just open it up, you know? And so don't like metagame, you know, play your character how your character would think. And sometimes it's going to yield a bad result, but it's really a good result, you know, because it's real. And that's what creates a good story. I said I could talk forever. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just waiting to see if Ashton want to jump on that one or.
No, man, I just feel like we're all just word vomiting a little bit here, which is
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
because I mean it's a fantastic conversation because I also could talk about this all day long because how do you really organize this type of conversation, right? How do you go about best setting something up? When you go into creating a character, there are so many things to consider. Um, like you can let's simplify this, right? You build a character, you look at what the classes are, what the races are, you pick two, right? One race, one class. You decide, I want a background. What should this character be like? Okay. Once you have a character, you have to roll stats, right? Or at least come up with background spells. Decide what works best based off of your background. I mean, if you want to be the most powerful person in the world, uh, action. You can try to build that if you want to, but I promise you, it's not going to work out. Your dice are going to tell you otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna
Especially when you
say.
think your character should be more successful and he's not. It's just not going to happen. So you should just kind of expect that.
I pull my
But yeah,
pants down.
pick pick the spells one that obviously you can help the team, right? So you should almost kind of have a discussion on. So you're not like putting like the same spells down because me and Narcisco have similar spells that now are not being used as much because we're crossing over a little bit. But um, just pick the ones that make sense for you. Like as my character, he likes to have the feeling of power because he actually feels powerless. So he loves prestidigitation because he can walk into a room and just light the candles or the torches that are there because it just gives him a sense of mystery or air or maybe there's a sound that emanates or something. So it's not a very powerful spell, but role playability, man, I've used that a lot. I've tried to at least. So pick the spells that work best for your background. And then after that, it's just trying to adapt on the fly, having fun, tell a great story. Think about what to you would either be fun or interesting and go from there.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I mean, I also think this is definitely a different episode than our previous one, which is more scripted, more back and forth. But there is so much that goes into character creation that it's. I've been trying to work on that with the guide, like little talking points. But I mean, ideally, if you're brand new, you found that you have interest in, you have a whole table to help you with this, and ideally a DM that's going to help go, okay, well, what questions you got? Well, let's walk through this kind of thing. Um, in Stolen the Night, we had one brand new player. Um, their character's name is Paul, and one of the people at the table actually helped them get their character built and whatever not. And that's the beautiful thing about D&D is the right table and the right people to, to mesh with, to set up, are more than willing to help you because they all hear the same thing: telling a good story, meeting your character. By the way, not having your pants on in combat apparently makes Bard's dice roll a lot better. Pierce, I would recommend it. Give it a shot once.
Okay, yeah, too easy. What
Inspiration.
are pants even?
Um, yeah, so I guess trying to think of other things we haven't covered, gentlemen, because we're kind of getting up here in time. Um, or if we think we should try to close up here soon, and then we'll try to meet again in the future. The sacrifices can be deemed worthy.
How would you
Um,
guys summarize it? Right? Summarize it. Building a
oh,
character.
I I think building a character is not necessarily solely based on what the character can do, but it's what they do with the time that's given to you. That's funny. Um, but seriously, I think another thing that you learn from your session zero or from playing is your group going to be more focused on combat? So are you going to want some of those more beefier spells, or is your campaign going to be a lot of narrative, or a good mix of both, where a spell like Ashton was talking about would be more beneficial because casting guiding light or something or dancing lights or whatever might be completely useless if all you guys do is fight and it's always light out, but if you're going through crazy dungeons and it's dark a lot, dancing lights might come in pretty handy. Same with mage hand. If you never have a time to use it, like why do you have it, um, so yeah, it's not what your characters can do. It's not about making them the baddest mf'er out there. It's about what do your characters do when the room's quiet. What do you do when the DM says, what do you do next, or how do you navigate a situation? At the end of the day, you're creating a character that tells a story. We keep saying it. You're telling a story, right? So create a character that you're going to enjoy playing and brings a unique perspective to the table.
I love
That's
that you said that
that's what
too,
I
because
got.
it just reminded me of something. Like, as a brand new player, I thought I had to wait for the DM to say something so I could add something to it. And now that I'm a DM, I realize that I rely on the players to give me something to work with just as much as what you thought, vice versa. So it's like if you have these spells, Mage Hand, and you're not in a position where it makes sense to use it. Like, just be like, oh, I cast Mage Hand and slap Pierce in the butt, whatever. But just like you give a cue, like, oh, DM, I have Mage Hand, give me something to use it more on, or just force it. Just kind of like force it in a way that makes sense for your character to do that. So it's just like, oh, if you want to be ominous and there's a torch there and you just want to like, oh, I cast Mage Hand and I just put my fingers over the little wick of the candle and now it's pitch black because I got dark vision. Like however you want to use it. I don't know. I'm just riffing. But you can force it in there if it makes sense and it's not intrusive to the other players.
That makes sense. If you guys don't mind, I'll take away the last little bit here. Um, I think character creation is, a combination of all these things we discussed, right? Like it is. I think the Lords of Ash style of character creation, because we are a very story first table. I think I haven't played at your tables, but from hearing about your guys' sessions and whatever, not, I think you guys are also story first DMs, right? Your players having a good time, telling good stories, drinking good whiskey in some cases, um, and just the whole goal of the hobby is about being spending time with people you want to spend time with. So when you're making your character, if you're brand new, I always say talk to your DM, talk to your table, and do choose what you love, and don't worry about making them a badass. The right table and the right story moment will make them a badass. You can be a non-combat character and seduce the queen, the princess that gives you access to the key to get into the mage's tower to steal the sword you need to slay the dragon that your badass fighter can do. But the bard's got this. Like, gentlemen, I roll for seduction, right? Let Trust the story, because the story is going to make your character be a badass as well. The DM's
Trust the bard.
God, no, don't trust the bard.
Never trust the bard.
Ugh. But that'd be my take on it. Like, make the character you want and trust the story will make the character shine. That'd be my take on it.
I love it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, gents, been chatting for about an hour here, and I know you guys got stuff going on tonight too. So, in closing, I want to appreciate you all taking the time to sit and talk hobby with me. We were chatting a bit before we started recording and catching up with my guys, which is one of the reasons why I love doing this. I know these, like I said, known these guys for years, and they're good dudes. If you watch it this far to the end, we very much appreciate you watching. If you're interested, please consider checking out the description below and checking out the Lords of Ash Discord community. We're just doing the same thing here. Also annotated below is going to be the Warbling Wervin, so I'll actually remember to put it in the description this time, which is Pierce's gaming server. If you're a gamer, consider checking him out and his YouTube page as well. And Ashton is, well, don't, if you get broke or hurt, Ashton can fix you, but you have to live in Wisconsin. So he hasn't got a channel, so I don't know like he's a doctor, so
maybe I'll play a cleric next.
Dr. Ashton.
I would love to see that. That'd be awesome. I'd have two
As if
Band-Aid
this campaign
boxes.
never ends. It's never gonna end.
No, it won't. It's never gonna end for sure.
Constant suffering. This is gonna be our lifetime campaign.
I'm already like looking forward to the next character I get to build with you guys. I'm probably gonna be like at this point like the forever like very in-depth background character.
Yeah.
Which is perfect. But for the viewers, thank you all again for watching. Thank you all for watching. If you want to look back at our first attempt at doing the podcast, it's also in the same thing here below. If we're improving, let us know. If you have suggestions, please let us know as well. But again, this is just three dudes talking hobby, having a good time. And as always, may your dice roll well and your paint flow smoothly. Thank you all.